Think of the 10 people you love the most. Now imagine 4 of them were all fired today. And imagine it took them more than a decade to find their next job. How would this change their life? How would they feel? How would you feel? Sadly, this is a reality for a lot of autistic people in the population. Around 40% of autistic people are unemployed. Not just in Australia, but worldwide. And this statistic hasn't changed much in over a decade. Neurodivergent brains are brains that think differently through an underlying condition like autism, ADHD, dyslexia, or Tourette's, for example. Now, what are your first thoughts when you think of neurodiversity in the workplace? Is your first thought sympathy, concern, doubt? What if I told you hiring someone neurodivergent is hiring your best employee yet? Big claim, right? Here's the thing, the business world today is marked by significant challenges. The aftermath of COVID-19, high company insolvency rates, and a lack of talent available to hire. This puts tremendous pressure on businesses to constantly innovate and adapt. As workplaces become more aware of neurodiversity, they unlock a reservoir of untapped talent, innovation, and creativity. By championing neurodiversity, we cultivate not only more dynamic and resilient businesses, but a more understanding and inclusive society. The ripple effects of this talk will thus extend far beyond the confines of the workplace, impacting the way we value and respect human diversity as a whole. Imagine this. You and I are having a chat back in 2017, and I'm working for the government from 9 to 5. What do you think is my favourite part of the job? Lego. Specifically, after my 9 to 5, in the evening, I'll be running an unofficial online Lego business selling pieces. And while things were going well for a while, running a side business eventually started to take its toll on me. I was very time scarce. I was starting to feel burnt out. I'd often make mistakes when filling orders, which would then end up costing me more time and more money, compounding the effect. Not to mention having to deal with irate customers. After this happened for the umpteenth time, I knew things had to change. Otherwise, I was going to mentally spiral out of control. I was talking to my friend Doris about how I needed some help. Typically, when you share about difficulty you're having in business, someone might share a strategy, a book, or a resource like that. So I was really surprised when my friend Doris recommended her 14-year-old son, Ethan. Little did I know, at the time, Ethan, a 14-year-old autistic high schooler, would change my life forever. In fact, he changed both our lives and many more. I'll never forget his first day. He was very shy, always looking down, avoiding eye contact, and he didn't talk much at all. He didn't have much confidence, and he certainly wasn't as skilled at leveraging the power of his autism. He'd only been diagnosed a year or two earlier. Now that's a topic for another talk. But don't get me wrong, just like with any other team member, there were learning curves along the way. I even remember once when he got stuck sorting some Lego. He wasn't sure what to do next, so he decided to colour in a whole bunch of plastic lids with permanent marker. At the time I thought, surely having staff shouldn't be this hard. But after putting myself in his shoes, it gave me more of an understanding why he did some of the things that he did. And it was then I decided to change my approach. The difficult autistic employee was just a narrative fed to me by the system. When I was able to detach from that narrative and reflect more deeply, I realised that neurodivergent people were a goldmine of talent waiting to be tapped into and nurtured. We just hadn't discovered how to unlock this gold yet. Luckily, we were able to figure out the root cause of the Lego sorting problem and create an environment that allowed Ethan to ask for support when needed from that point forward. Over time, Ethan went from someone so shy that he couldn't ask for a day off to a leader who was able to handle the day-to-day operations of the business by himself. Not only that, but as I became a better leader and delegator, business results grew as well. In fact, in the lead up to COVID, revenue increased by 53%, all whilst working half the amount of time in the business so I could focus on my next venture. This resulted in decreased stress, which led to less anxiety and more sleep, which I love. It also gave me a deep sense of meaning because I was helping people in a similar boat to what I've been in the past. For Ethan, we could see the pride and self-belief in his eyes now. And he also started talking to people more. Along the way, I also discovered that I was neurodivergent myself. This eventually led me to start a disability support company, Self++, which has not only helped dozens of people with disability achieve their goals, but it also gives me the opportunity to help employers tap into this goldmine of a talent pool. There are 3 paradigm shifts to embracing neurodiversity in the workplace that anyone can start using today. And these paradigm shifts can even be applied to other people with disability and even other diversity groups as well. The first paradigm shift is changing our perception around neurodiverse employees and money. Often when I talk to business owners, they have this idea that hiring a neurodivergent employee will actually cost them money, that they'll be way too expensive compared to someone else. You might think you'll be constantly fixing mistakes, or they won't be as productive as other workers. Sadly, this form of thinking is still quite widespread, not just towards neurodiverse folk, but towards other people with disability as well. Now, you don't need me to tell you that saving money is important, especially when it comes to business. So let me ask you a question. If you're a business and I told you it was possible to make workplace adjustments for people with disability without it costing an arm and a leg, how would you feel? Statistics from the US government show the majority of workplace adjustments cost less than $500. And what's even better is that almost half of them were free. And that's before you factor in savings from improved employee retention, productivity and attendance, among other things. You see, neurodiverse people want to be a part of the team, just like everyone else. In fact, I've seen countless instances where neurodiversity has led to improved efficiency in the workplace. One such instance was when I was working in IT many years ago. I was responsible for running a manual process, collecting long files, and compiling weekly reports for a system I was looking after. Now, I have a natural ability to improve tasks that involve a lot of repetition, mainly because I get so bored and don't want to do them. In this instance, I was able to automate the process where it took 2 days to generate the reports, to eventually being able to view live statistics in real time, where no manual processing was required whatsoever. This ended up saving my employer a lot of money, as much as 1 full-time equivalent in the beginning and more as the system grew. More importantly, it freed up my time to do less boring things. Now you can start taking action straight away, gain a competitive advantage by shifting towards an open mindset. Be open to new ideas and new ways of thinking within your organisation. Break away from those outdated forms of thinking. Disregard any biases towards neurodiversity or any other diversity group in your workplace. You might be surprised where it takes you. The second paradigm shift involves rethinking how you provide support as an employer. Often, when employers think about hiring someone neurodivergent, they think the process to bring them up to speed will be slow and tedious. That's not often the case. But when it is, there are some underlying factors at play. Take, for instance, a client I was working with a couple of years ago. He was employed as an apprentice plumber, and while he liked his job, he wasn't doing too good in the training aspect. See, the problem was he was being taught by being told what to do, not by being shown how to do it. Now, us humans have a variety of methods that we use to learn new skills. The main ones are visual, kinesthetic, and auditory. There was a disconnect between my client's preferred method of learning and the way his master was teaching him. This unfortunately led to my client losing his job in this instance. Had he been taught in a better way that he could understand, the story probably would have had a different ending. Nonetheless, I was able to help him find a better job he was more passionate about. By having a supportive work environment, we can implement early interventions to support employees who are struggling before the underlying problem snowballs into something bigger. If you have an employee who's struggling in the workplace, whether they're neurodivergent or not, ask yourself, what can I do to support them to achieve their goals? And then go out and support them. Odds are they'll be grateful for the support, and with any luck, their performance will improve. Not only will this have an impact on neurodiverse employees, but it will benefit everyone in the workplace. Finally, the third paradigm shift involves advocating for neurodiversity. Overall, businesses that practice disability inclusivity grow their profits at over 4 times the rate of other businesses. Running a business is tough. As employers, we need all the help that we can get. And while it's great having minds that think alike within an organisation, uniform thinking will only take you so far. A recent example of this comes from one of my colleagues in the industry. They had an autistic client who was an employee of a tech startup. The startup was getting ready to launch its website when the employee found a major security hole that no one else had spotted. Neither their IT security team nor any of the other developers had spotted this issue, and it was a big one. Had the potential to sink the company had it been exploited. Needless to say, the issue was fixed, the website went on to launch, and the startup was eventually acquired by a bigger company. A fantastic outcome compared to what could have happened. However, it's one thing to help those within your own organisation. Helping those outside takes things to a whole new level. Often, when I talk to people, they have the mindset I used to have, which is in order to change the world or even change one life, it has to be on a grand scale. However, even the simplest things can have a massive effect on someone's life. Even the smallest things can change society over time. This is known as the butterfly effect. By telling your neurodiversity story, you have no idea who it's going to affect or what opportunities it's going to open up. Approximately 15 to 20% of the world's population is neurodiverse. The odds are someone you might know is neurodivergent themselves, and they might not even know it. Go back to your 4 unemployed loved ones from before. What if every time you woke up in the morning and went to work, you were helping them change their lives for the better? And what if what they did changed even more people's lives? You can start to see the butterfly effect here. Embracing neurodiversity in the workplace isn't just about ticking inclusivity boxes. It's about recognising and supporting untapped potential and innovation. Today, I've covered 3 paradigm shifts. First, shifting our perception about seeing neurodiverse employees as a sunken cost. This can be achieved by breaking away from old styles of thinking and having an open mindset. Second, rethink how you support employees in the workplace. Ask yourself, what can you do to support your team, regardless of whether or not they identify as neurodivergent or not? This will benefit everyone and help improve any performance bottlenecks. And finally, spread the word. Tell your neurodiverse story. You never know whose life you'll change or what impact you'll have. It could be someone very close you care about. Thank you.